They say they were built by aliens. Others say the Egyptians were able to create them with the help of dinosaurs. Others believe that supernatural and evil forces were involved in the construction of these structures. But what is the reality? Why haven't they told the truth of the matter so far? Why do they always try to keep ordinary people in illusion? What is their purpose? Today, I will tell you the main and the most real theory of the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. Join DarkFat to take a trip to Egypt and take a look at the Egyptian pyramids. First, you need to know that there are hundreds of pyramids in Egypt. But today we are going to choose the largest pyramids and explore how this huge structure was built using 2600 BC technology. Egypt's largest pyramid is called Giza. Giza is the name of the town near the Egyptian capital Cairo. You certainly can't understand the grandeur of these pyramids through photos and videos. The pyramid is about 150 meters high and 2,300,000 stone blocks were used to build it. But as long as we don't know how these pyramids were built, the number of stones doesn't matter. How were these pyramids really built? I will tell you later. Where is the most important part of any building you want to build? Foundation. The first thing is that this building with this enormous weight has a very great foundation, because if it were otherwise it would have collapsed to this day. The foundation of the edifice is built exactly north and south and east and west. That is, if you check the north and south sides of it, it is exactly to the north and south. And if you check the east and west sides of it as well, it is exactly to the east and west sides. It is interesting to know that at the time there were no compasses and interpreters were able to find directions with the help of stars. But anyways, they were able to find directions. It shows us that the method was accurate and it was carefully executed. We have noticed the person who was the engineer on this project had very good computing power and calculated everything correctly. 90% of the stones in this pyramid are made of yellow limestone. When they built this pyramid, they installed shiny smooth limestone on it. Historical sources say that when the shiny limestones were placed on the pyramids, they shone under the sun from miles away. But these stones were stolen over time, and today there are not many of them left. But one other thing that is strange in the construction of these pyramids is the way these stones are carved and prepared. Because in 2600 BC, humans hadn't had access to steel and iron and had only discovered copper. As you know, copper is a very soft metal. They cut the stones with copper tools, which seems like a very hard job. According to historians, the construction of these pyramids took 20 years, and according to the number of stones used in this pyramid, we conclude that if we want to build this pyramid in 20 years, we need to fill an Olympic pool of cut stones every 8 days. But the mystery inside this pyramid is even stranger because it's made entirely of granite. As you know, granite is a very strong stone. Now the question arises, what did they cut and shade the granite with? With copper? No. Scientists have concluded that ancient Egyptians carved granite with another stone called dolerite. Dolerite is a type of subvolcanic rock, also known as microgabbro or diabase. Cutting and carving granite stones, even with the modern tools, is still difficult and time-consuming. And now the big question for archaeologists is how did the Egyptians cut and carve granite stones with another stone? Now let's go out of the pyramids and see the stones that form the outer edifice. These blocks of stone you are seeing may look small in pictures and video, but each of them is 1 meter by 5.2 meters wide and long. They are also 1.5 meters tall and each weigh between 5.6 and 10 tons. In every image we see of the pyramids, as far as the eye can see, it is a desert and a sand desert. So where did the ancient Egyptians get these stones from? from 900 kilometers away. Each of these stones would be placed in a boat and reached Giza via the Nile. After this stage, the stones had to be transported from the banks of the Nile to the site of the construction of the pyramids. For this, the ancient Egyptians built something similar to ski stacks. Very large ski stacks. Because old paintings show that they put very heavy pieces of stone on these stacks and drew them with high numbers of fins, like ski on soft sand, and brought them to the site of the pyramids. You might think that the stone transfer stacks get stuck in the sand. But when they wanted to drag the sled on the sand, they wet the sand so that the sand would become slippery and the sled would move easily. Of course, the process of moving the stones was done with thousands of people pushing and pulling. When they were pulling the sled carrying the load, the task of several people was to constantly pour water in front of the sled. Some historians say these sleds weren't just pulled by humans. They also used animals like donkeys and cows and elephants. Alright, up to this point, everything was reasonable and plausible. They carried the stones in this way and carried them to the pyramids. They also built the foundation, picking up the first and second rows. But the higher it gets, the harder and harder it gets to get stones to the upper points. The dead end that all the archaeologists in the world always reach is right here. How did they get these heavy rocks to the high points? Archaeologists have put forward many theories about this, but none have been proven because they have no strong evidence to prove their claims. No drawings or stone inscriptions or ramps or cranes that show us how these 10-ton rocks reached 150 meters above the ground have been discovered. There's no proven idea. Some say slaves did it, but others say it's not possible because if slaves were going to put these stones together, they couldn't have done it so carefully. Because the stones are so carved and stacked together that we still can't stick a very thin object like a bank card in between the stones. It is said that in ancient Egypt there was a city around these pyramids, and the townspeople were very proud that the largest pyramid dedicated to the king was finished in the best possible way next to their city and put into operation. That's why all the people of the city helped build the pyramids. Ancient Egyptians had a culture that wanted everything for life after death. Like the embalming tradition, they thought they would be resurrected in the future. This is why they built the pyramids so that their tombs would remain and not to be destroyed. It is interesting to note that the building built in the form of a pyramid has the most solid structure and is not destroyed by earthquakes, storms and floods. Especially if its foundation is also excellently built. Whoever came up with the idea of building these pyramids certainly knew that the structure would not fall apart. So far in the video we have learned how to scientifically build the pyramids of Egypt. Science says that's how pyramids are built. But that's not all, and there are some other intriguing theories about how this massive monument was built. To see this series, first like this video and leave a comment, and if you enjoyed the video so far, subscribe to our channel. The report we gave you today about the pyramids of Egypt is the science story of these pyramids, all of which has been obtained by research, but it is not complete and we still do not know many things about these pyramids. That's why so many stories are being told about these mysterious structures. For example, one of the most famous stories is that the aliens came to Earth, built these pyramids and left. Also, this theory doesn't make sense, it is very popular. Proponents of this theory say humans could never have raised these 10-ton rocks at that point in history to seem 150 feet high because, even with today's technology, it's very difficult to lift a 10-ton object up to 150 feet high. They say the construction of the Pyramid of Giza began in 2560 BC and was finished after 20 years. Note that only the stones of the same pyramid are 2,300,000 pieces of 10-ton stone. How do you think this building, which has been the tallest man-made structure for 3,800 years, was built?